Welcome back, dudes. This is TheeRealDuke. I am coming to you with part 3 of episode 22, 10, 20, 22. I don't know, again, what I'm doing with my hands here, but we're part 3. Part 3 is going to be the judging. If you missed parts 1 and 2, you need to go see those, otherwise not much of this is going to make sense. Part 1 and 2, the judging of the first and second half, respectively, of the entries in the 3 Block Challenge Season 2, Challenge number 9, on the InfiniteHeights Minecraft server. If you are checking us out right now on the live stream in person, what's up, dudes? Thank you so much for joining us. If you are watching us later on, the YouTube? If you're watching us later on the YouTube, thank you. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. We do the live stream, and the live stream is fun, though. You should be there. So, again, part 3. Watch 1 and 2, part 1 and 2 of episode 22 if you haven't seen them yet. You should. This will make sense. It'll give you more information about where these decisions come from, though I will try to explain them right now. So let me get my blocks together here. I have those two. I don't know why I have class. Whatevs. Alright, let me grab my diamond. So diamond will be first place. Gold will be second. Iron, I want to say silver. Iron will be third, and the emerald blocks, as they are the most useless of the blocks, I guess would be the honorable mentions. So, as we come through, excuse me, here's what I want to do. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is go first place for Tropic. I'm going to go second place for Seaweed. I'm gonna explain all these in a second and why I put things where I did. The Gin, third place. Two honorable mentions. Difficult. I'm taking it very seriously, and I'm trying to make the best and most fair decision that I can. If you're asking yourself, why am I sweating this much over honorable mentions, you need to remind yourself that everybody's effort that they put into their builds is valuable. Not only the people that win first, second, or third place. Okay, so I'm going to go honorable mention to Kissy. Good job, girl. Honorable mention to Charmander, Tornacus, and his swag Nana. So, First place to Tropic because of all the things I was talking about at the end of part number 2. So if you didn't see part number 2 or the end of part number 2, you need to go back and watch it. I'm just joking. The attention to detail in these feathers. I mean, she's basically illustrated individual feathers. Incredible. The tail is awesome. The posture of the bird is intended to be aggressive because it is protecting its egg, and it is aggressive, and we do get the vibe. Additionally, there's the egg there, which allows us to understand why the bird is doing this. And this is also a good compositional decision because it keeps it from having a big empty space in the front there. Balance of the blocks is awesome. The amount of detail is awesome. The shape of the bird, which is round and at an angle, is difficult and awesome. The detail in the feathers is awesome on the tail. The face and beak, these little ear feather type things, awesome. Wings, awesome. Awesome all around. First place. Congratulations, Tropic. Second place to Seaweed. So this is equally awesome in very many ways. Sense of motion, awesome. And that equates to Tropic's posture, successful use of posture with the sentiment behind the posture, which is aggression and protecting the egg. Success, okay. Takeoff, it should be flying. Flying is a success. There's a little bit less detail in the feathers than Tropic has. And there's a little bit more detail on Seaweeds in the back, but there is still overall less detail in the bird on Seaweeds than on Tropics. And then also on Tropics, the balance of blocks is a little bit different, and in this one I think the bird could have used a little bit more brown in it. Right now it feels like the brown from the dark oak half slabs is confined too much to the bottom, and there's a little touch right here in the feet and in the beak. So this is like a 98%. Just those little kind of things separate first and second place. In third place, the goblin. I still think it looks like a goblin. It's a djinn. And this is not just because of my love of beards, because the beard is actually a tiny part of it. But what is in the beard is a good amount of detail, where the beard kind of pokes out a little bit there, right? That is an adorable detail. The face is happy. It's a lot of fun. It's easy to approach and get to. We look at it. We can kind of feel what it is. Having a good time. Very cool, right? Good use of blocks. Block ratio is good. Right, we have the beard, and in the smile and in the eyebrows, kind of framing out the face. So even though there's objectively a lower number, the role that they play is important, and so that adds to the effect that the brown from the dark oak planks can have. And then we see the yellow again, just this little touch of yellow to show a precious necklace or collar of some kind. Very cool, very cool. The awesome shape and roundness of the head. It's really good. This is just a really great example of how to make an oblong, asymmetrical, rounded structure. Very cool. Very, very good job. Nice, smoothly rounded shoulders. If this was maybe pushed just into the back a little bit more, have more detail, a little bit more in the face, it might have placed a little bit higher, but still awesome build. Very, very, very cool build. I also need to know how to say your name, Red Guy. Red Guy. And then honorable mentions, and I was having some trouble with this. Okay. I think that Tornaxes gets an honorable mention easily because of a couple things. The banana that he rendered looks exactly like a banana. Awesome. It's awesome. It's a banana. The boat is also very, very boat-like. And he's jammed them together somehow, which is not an easy thing to do. And it to look silly, maybe. To have it be funny, absolutely. But it really works. And then it's a banana boat, and it is crashing in the water. And the action and the asymmetry that the water introduces, the splashing and the waves in the water next to the boat, It's awesome. The composition is really good. The block ratios are really, really good, and the idea is fun and interesting, and they all come together really well. They all come together really well, so he gets that. What I was deciding between, what was really kind of making it hard for me to choose the other honorable mention. This is not to take away from anybody's build in any way. I only have great things to say about these builds because they are good, and the fact that I have to think about them and put so much effort into them means that they are good enough to deserve that effort, and so I give it to them. So congratulations truly to everybody that entered. Your builds are awesome, and they made my head hurt trying to pick which ones scored higher. So what I was trying to decide between was, we have Kissy's abstract build over here. We have Scars Forever's build, which is also abstract. And we have Killer Aqua's build, which is also abstract over here. Okay. Now, you might say Scars Forever's build is not abstract. It is abstract because PvP arena is not a real thing. That doesn't actually exist. Okay. We have to imagine what it might actually be, but they're not real. So, so I'm deciding between those abstract things, okay. And then I'm going back and forth between those three abstract things, and then the fourth thing that I'm really thinking about is how awesome this skull is that Dries put in, okay. So here's how I came to the decision between picking between those four. So how I separated, let me start with how I separated between the abstract ones, okay? Scars Forever's, this is Scars Forever, right? Yeah, Scars Forever. Scars Forever's build is abstract. The information that Scars Forever chose to give us about the build and how far we can take that information with that build, it's limited in some ways, and it's not because Scars Forever, it's not because you did anything wrong. It's not because Scars Forever did anything wrong or because they failed in any way. I think the subject matter that they chose is self-limiting. And so what I mean by that is, in a PvP map, if you're depicting a PvP map, okay, or a real-time strategy arena, if you're depicting that, unless you put the players in there or the vehicles in there, if it's an RTS or whatever it is, unless you put those things in there, the build is by its very own nature incomplete in a certain regard. And so it takes a great leap for us to put ourselves in there to achieve the kind of full understanding and fulfillment of the idea that you tried to get across. That has nothing to do with whether or not it's even a great build. We're looking at builds that are all really good and almost on the exact same level. So I have to look for the tiny differences between them, and that's why I have to split hairs like this. It's a bummer sometimes, but it's what you got to do. So that's part of it. And then if we're left with Kissy's build and Killer Aqua's build, the decision that I chose to make here, okay, is that they're both abstract. And so, again, I can put myself into them and allow myself to go into an abstract place. Now, this is the double-edged sword of an abstract build that makes, in my opinion, some abstract builds much more difficult to do successfully. Because you can let someone's mind wander, their mind can wander wherever and not necessarily always to a good place. So if you give somebody a one-word description to go on Killer Aqua, like Killer Aqua did, okay, that's the only kernel of direction that they have. They're going to run with that. So the more specific you can make that, the more targeted their direction can be when you tell them where you want them to run with your idea. Does that make sense? So for Killer Aqua's build, he went with suspension as the one word, okay? And there's a certain amount of elegance to giving things one word titles, which I agree with and I do in my own artistic practice. in this instance, there's a disconnect between that kernel that I'm going off on and what you've actually shown me. What you've actually shown me is awesome. Okay? And what Kissy has actually shown me is awesome. The only tiny difference is that where you've chosen to direct me on a journey killer is disconnected from, visually disconnected from, in my opinion, from what you've actually shown me. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Your build is cool, and I love it. It is very cool. Very cool. There's just that disconnect there, and that's what kept it where it was in my mind. So with Kissy's, okay, I had Kissy doing the best out of the honorable mentions because I was very easy, and I didn't have to. I paused to think about it for a second, and I think if you go back and check and watch episode 1, or part 1 rather, of episode 22, you will see that. I'm like, reread the sign, reread the sign. I got it. And it was what she presented me and what she directed me toward matched. They matched. Now the reason, and that is so hard to do with abstract builds. The reason Kissy's build didn't maybe score a little bit higher is because our build challenges aren't writing challenges or convincing challenges. Okay, what I mean by that is because we're not judging solely based upon how well you can tell someone what to think or how to interpret your thing. We also have to weigh very heavily what we're actually looking at. And in this instance, I felt that what I was looking at, the physical thing I was presented with in the first through third place entries, was slightly more compelling. Than the actual physical structure Kissy chose to create for us. It's because the base of it is primarily symmetrical, and because I think maybe a little bit that single moment of clarity that she's having, which is depicted right there, is just a little bit, and I understand that based upon the concept it needs to be a little shrouded, but the spacing from here, it is very busy. And so if I had maybe a cleaner shot in there, maybe a little bit more restraint, maybe a little bit more confidence, that'll give you the ability to display that restraint, which you are capable of, Kissy. That may have changed it a little bit. And again, if the builds weren't good, I wouldn't have to spend time splitting hairs like this. I wouldn't be putting this much effort and energy into my appraisals of these things. So the builds are clearly good. Clearly good. They are excellent builds. And I'm not skipping over Drees. This was a contender. Drees' build was a contender for me for honorable mention because of how perfect this one moment of his build is. This one moment of this skull is so perfect for me that for a moment it swayed me in such a way to discount certain other things that I think should have been awarded more. So I think the other builds, Drees, made better use of all 3 blocks, which is something I talked about the first time I was talking about your build, which is the blue. If you would have done something a little bit more with the blue, this definitely would have scored higher. That skull is awesome. It's awesome. It's so good. It's so good. All the other builds are really good, guys. Thank you so much for everybody, to everybody that entered. All the challengers, you should be very proud of yourselves. You've done very great work. This challenge, this key, awesome. Never saw anything like that before. Pac-Man throwing me back. First timers coming in. Just joined the server. Jump into 3 Block Challnge, man. I love seeing that. Makes me feel good. Makes me feel good. Really fun, really creative builds, you guys. Everybody should be really proud. Congratulations to all the winners. But I think that is it for this episode. I truly hope you dudes enjoyed watching. If you joined us on the live stream, thank you guys so much for checking me out on the live stream. Love you guys. Appreciate it. If you are checking this out later on YouTube, I love you too, baby. Don't worry about it. I do. I do still love you. But you should have been at the live stream. It was awesome. There are 3 parts to the live stream. Parts 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 are the judging and talking about each build one at a time. Part 3 is when I actually do the placements, which you just saw. Watch them all. The whole thing makes a lot more sense if viewed together. But again, I do truly hope you enjoy watching it, and I want you to know that I really appreciate every single view, every like, every comment, and every sub. It really means a lot to me, and I do appreciate it. So thank you so much for taking the time to check it out. I hope you guys had fun watching the 3 Block Challenge judging. I had an awesome time doing it. I will see you at the next 3 Block Challenge judging. It's going to be next week, man. It's weekly. We do it every week. Hopefully I'll see one of your entries in there. I will catch you guys next time. TheeRealDuke, and I'm out.